What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to On the Perf podcast, brought to you, as always, by our good friends from Atlas Gun Works. Now,
Yeah. What we really want to know is, do you have the Apollo yet?
Yes, I do.
Did you shoot it?
Yes, I did.
Is it amazing?
It is amazing. I don't know yet if it is as amazing as the Erebus, because the Erebus was the first gun that I ever shot that felt the way that I expected an open gun to feel. Like, open guns always kind of let me down a little bit, and the Erebus was the first one where I was like, oh, it doesn't matter how you hold on to it. It just comes back. If you hold on tighter, it comes back a little bit. But it's just, it was just the way that I wanted open guns to always feel. And it was the first one that did that to me. And so
it made you swoon?
Yeah. So it's sort of like, is Top Gun 2 as good as Top Gun 1? Well, an argument could be made, yes, but Top Gun 1 has a special place in my heart because, that thing came out when I was in grade school, and it made me want to, fly an F-14 because I think I'm as tall as Tom Cruise, and I can get away with that.
The first cut is always the deepest, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I got it the day before we shot our little we had the Salt Lake 360 here. So basically, big club match. Technically not a USPSA match because none of the stages conform with any USPSA rules. But the match was a 6-stage match, 60 rounds apiece. So it was pretty funny to see all the USPSA guys be like, oh man, how am I going to put this whole stage in my head? And I'm like, this isn't even like a short course in my world.
Yeah,
this is adorable.
How are we going to do all this planning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to do a quarter of the amount that I normally do, and it's going to be fine. So I shot it in that, and I went from having not fired the gun to one 200-round practice session after zeroing at the armory just to sort of make sure I understand how it felt. I ended up getting third shooting open minor from a retention holster, so I felt pretty good about that. Zach, of course, crushed everybody because Zach is crushing. And if I hadn't shot the Erebus already, I would just buy the Apollo right now. But I'm not 100% sure that the Erebus is better, but I'm going to find out because my buddy Jeff has one. We are going to be at the Parma match together. So I'm going to spend one of my off days doing some side-by-side comparison in a bay, and I'm going to let everybody know what I think. So
your heart's been broken once, and you're not sure if you're ready to love again?
Well, it's more like this is a lot of money for a gun, and I want to make sure I don't have any regrets because I'm going to buy the one that I like more. Now, the one thing that I will say, I do like the way that the Apollo moves and transitions better.
Yeah.
Because it is a shorter gun.
Yeah.
It is a lighter gun. It's easier to draw also because it's shorter. It doesn't have to clear a holster. And because it's a ported gun instead of a comp gun, there's significantly less maintenance or potential for things to go wrong.
You kind of had a bad experience.
I had a bad experience. So I'm hoping that I like the Apollo 99% as much as the Erebus. If that's the case, I will buy the Apollo because easier maintenance, significantly cheaper, easier transition, easier to draw, all the reasons. And if I like the Apollo 97% as much as the Erebus, then I'm going to buy the Erebus.
Oh, damn.
So we're not doing half measures anymore. I'm done with that shit. So half measures are what got me here, where I'm have this gun that I've been shooting that's going to become the practice gun, but it's just been a pain in the ass for the last year of my life. That's where half measures got me. So I'm done with half measures. Not that I think that either one of these are on that same par, but we are buying the one that I like the most, period. I'm going to give the Apollo 2%. If the Apollo is 98% of the Erebus, we'll buy the Apollo. If it's 97% of the Erebus, we're buying the Erebus.
I'm unreasonably excited about this because I haven't shot an Apollo, so maybe it's just the forbidden fruit. Like, I got a safe full of Atlas guns, but I haven't shot that one. I have no earthly reason to buy one because I'm not interested in open at all. And if I am, I have Erebus already. Arabai.
You have Arabai.
I have Arabai.
Well, you have a Maximus and an Erebus.
Yes. So yeah, I don't see an Apollo in my future, but oh gosh, I would like to try one, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the saga that is Riser's journey towards an Atlas pistol.
Yeah, pretty stoked about this. Certainly, like, having shot them a month apart, I'm like, these feel real close. I have the feeling it's gonna kind of be like shooting the Titan next to the Athena sort of thing, where it's like, oh, they're slightly different feel of the same thing. I'm kind of hoping it's that sort of deal, but we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out.
Do you want to fall in love like Riser is? Then you too could order an Atlas gun, atlasgunworks.com.
Indeed. And there's a raffle going on right now. $100 raffle ticket gets you in the pot, and the winner will get either the mystery Black Friday gun from Atlas, which nobody knows what it is yet.
They're always bangers, though.
Or, drum roll please, a Chaos.
I can't.
When's the last time you saw a Chaos for sale?
I can't believe they pulled that one out. They hate making those things so much.
Yeah.
Because they're, from a customer service standpoint, they're such a pain in the ass. Open Major just sucks. Yeah, Open Major sucks, and the people who buy Open Major, for the most part, suck even more. I'm sorry, but y'all are kind of horrible. Except Zach. Zach, you're cool, but the rest of
Zach, you pass. Yep. Well, before we get on to our couple topics here, we of course need to bring in the Gary of the day, and I got a good one. So,
I have some Gary too.
All right, we might double Gary this one then.
It might be a double Gary.
One of our listeners tagged us in an Instagram post of him going full bolt action on an open division shotgun stage, and was like, here it is, you guys, like, your Gary of the day for Adam and Adam. And I watched the video and I responded to him. I was like, you handled that pretty well. Like, I don't think that was Gary shit at all. You did a great job clearing all those. You fought through it. It's like, that's like not going to help you, but like, you probably slipped a couple places in the match, but you did a great job handling that. And he goes, well, yeah, but what I actually did was I shot a bunch of buckshot out of my open gun that I had never tested, and it turns out that the open gun didn't like it. So shooting completely untested ammo in a match, especially in an open division shotgun, super Gary.
Was this guy on my squad?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I saw a lot of that last weekend.
Did you know?
Yeah.
It was one of the all buckshot stages in the match.
Yeah. Well, until you added that part, I was gonna say, well, we have to go find this video and show it to Taylor, and she'll give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down on the Gary. She's fairly unbiased.
Awesome. Yeah, if Taylor pegs you, you're doing some Gary shit for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's your Gary?
All right, my Gary is, I'm not saying you have to know the rules to play the game,
but it helps.
You can absolutely be here for a good time, not for a long time, and just kind of ride the ride. But if you're gonna play the pushing the boundaries game, if you're gonna try and cite technicalities of the rules, I don't know, maybe read them once. And so, like, if you're gonna argue really technical stuff, I mean, it's kind of like saying, with all due respect, like, you can't just say in USPSA rules and then say whatever you want. Like, that just doesn't that doesn't work like that.
What was the Talladega Nights? With all due respect, I can't remember what he said. He's like, you can't just say with all due respect and say whatever you want. Yeah, you can. It's in the Constitution.
Exactly. Same thing. Like you can't wear an NROI jersey, which, for those keeping score at home, is the National Range Officer Institute. That is literally the certification program for being a USPSA RO. You can't pay money to buy an NROI jersey and then start making up the rules. Like, I'm not going to have much sympathy for you there. So like, there was a plate that was visible this weekend beyond the 180. So you could stand at the front fault line, have a wide open presentation at a target that was uprange. That is illegal. And they're like, well, the one shooter that was guilty of the first part was like, well, blah, 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 blah. And then the RO was like, well, I guess we could just say that you kind of have to, from roundabout here. We all know how I feel about roundabout. And I was like, nah, there are two options. You got to fix that, because we were the first squad of the day. I was like, you got to fix that, or you got to throw the stage out. Well, I'm like, nope, those are the options. Call the range master. And so that started some drama. And then, yeah, if you're going to wear a World Shoot jersey and then be confused about things that actually happen at World Shoot, like, I don't know, start positions, like, that's some Gary shit. That's some Gary shit. If you're jerseyed up and you're going to argue technicalities of the rules, that's some pretty Gary stuff. You don't have to know the rules, but if you want to play the rules game, you gotta have read them at least one time.
Yeah, 100%. Know the rules. You can't argue the rules if you don't know the rules. Although I've seen a lot of that. It's a little tough sometimes at outlaw matches where the rules are kind of made up and the points don't matter.
But my favorite one. We were scoring a buckshot target. I almost forgot this one. We were scoring a buckshot target, and we were debating the old, well, does it touch the line or not? And well, is this and that and the other thing? And we're like, no, that counts. And he's like, in which rule set? And I turn and look at him and I say, the one we're using.
Yes, dude.
And so many people, like, it is written all over everything. Every episode we've done, all over the website that's specifically made for IPSC Shotgun and IPSC World Shoot delegation stuff. All of everything, every single qualifier match so far has been under USPSA multi-gun rules. People still roll up, well, wait, we're not using IPSC rules? It literally says on every stage brief at the bottom, rule set, USPSA multi-gun rules. Like, people. I'm gonna stop.
Maxwell's boiling over. So we before we move on to our main topic here today, we're gonna give a quick shout out. That might be a little bit of a long shout out, because what we're gonna do is just kind of like, hey, the United States sent a bunch of people to the first ever, long-awaited PCC IPSC. Yep, there we go. It's been a long day, you guys. World Shoot. So the PCC World Shoot just happened.
It's Sports Center time.
Yep, and Team America,
World
Police cleaned house. So quick shout out here. I'm going to run through these really fast with a couple of honorable mentions. Gold medal, mini rifle open. By the way, mini rifle, for our other podcast brethren that we just spent an entire podcast talking shit about, who talked a little bit about this and didn't know what mini rifle was, because they just like to talk shit about sports that they don't understand, apparently. Mini rifle is a .22 caliber rifle.
I got some text from them today.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah. The beef is alive. The beef is alive.
Sick. I can't wait to hear.
Stay tuned.
So, mini rifle, open division, gold. Our boy, AJ Anthony.
Woo! Woo!
The junior team took home the silver with Miggs holding up the top of the team. Sophia also on the team, who also took individual gold super junior. Belgar, no idea who Belgar is, and Tammy Lee rounding off the team. Let's see. I'm going to read these a little bit out of order because there's a little bit of crossover going off. Lady senior, that team took silver as well. Diana Muller also took individual silver, leading up the team. Lisa Munson, Ellen McEntee, and Jody McGirt. Definitely nailed all those names. Rounding off that team, took home the silver medal. PCC Optics Senior took home the bronze with Keith Garcia heading up the team.
Did somebody card
I'm not
him?
Going to try your last name. What's that?
Did somebody card him? I'm not entirely sure he's a senior.
I don't think so. Steve Miles and Craig McElhinney. Yeah, maybe I got that. Maybe I got pretty close. Gold medal for PC Optics Super Senior with the man, the myth, the legend, Jerry Michalak, also taking home individual gold. Lighten on the team, Mig on the team, and Alex Iglesias on the team. Nice job, everybody representing. And now we start to get a little bit interesting here. So, ladies, PCC Optics team, gold medal for the crew. Lena Michalak, who is in second. Jalise Williams, who is in fourth. Lanny Barnes and Linda Turnbull took home the fancy medal. And you'll notice that Justine Williams, not on the ladies team, because she was on the men's team, which also took home the gold. She got 8th overall. She took home the ladies' gold. Also on the men's team, Zach Smith, who took home a 9th. Our boy Scott Green, who took home a 10th. And the big upset, Max Leograndis, silver medal overall.
No.
Don't think anyone saw that coming. Yep. Pavel Zenkar from Slovenia beat our boy.
Do we have proof of life on Max? We sure he's okay?
I don't know. He said before the match started that he was taking a social media hiatus for a month.
That's probably a good call.
Probably a good call. But yeah, so big upset. But Team America, USA #1, did take home the overall gold in both the men's and the women's, and also took home PCC Irons gold with our boy, get your drinks ready, Brian Nelson, taking home the individual gold. Have you seen his rifle?
Yeah, I saw it in Platoon.
Yeah, exactly. Brian Nelson's PCC is outwardly a M16A1, like triangle handguard, front sight block, gas system, the whole thing.
Just double birds to everybody.
It is amazing. It is amazing. He just basically went there LARPing and then won.
Yeah. Homeboy wants to LARP. You let him LARP, all right?
Yeah, just let him LARP.
B. Nelson LARPs hard.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, he LARPs harder than anybody. Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
Also, my boy Andre on that team, Andre Desatel. Yep. I quote unquote grew up shooting with Andre, so shout out to my boy.
On. Yep, yeah, JP teammate from me. He took home the individual third, and out of retirement, John McLean also on the team, as well as Andy Heppard. So huge shout out to all of our friends and comrades out there going across the pond, whooping ass, bringing home a ton of golds. I think there were 10 individual and overall gold medals for the United States. So well done, boys. Well done.
not gonna lie, Justine's video that she put out on Instagram, it kind of hit me right in the feels. Got a little misty eyed on that one. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, like Brian says, doesn't matter how I do as long as they play that song I like at the end.
Hell yeah.
Yep, attaboy.
And we're currently there's a GoFundMe to pay all the tariffs for bringing all that precious metal back into the U.S.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. So support your local importer.
Well, and then part 2 of our World Shoot update, we have had round 3 of the IPSC Shotgun Qualifiers, the Road to World Shoot 2026. The results are all out there. So if you want to go look at nitty gritty stuff, it's out there. But
handily, you can just look at practice score, because searching the interwebs and looking through page after page of PDF documents to get World Shoot results, kind of a pain in the ass.
Yep. Or you could go to ipsic-usa.com, and under the data tab, there is an updated preliminary unofficial
point more asterisks on
point standings. It is not I who puts these together. It is one of our own from Minnesota, Mr. Cody West, has raised his hand to be stats guy. So he has the magic spreadsheet made up for the Minnesota 3-gun points race. And so after he saw my janky math, he's like, hey, I got this spreadsheet that just like does all the math for you. Do you want me to do that? And I said, yes, I would. So he had this done and ready to post and sent to USPSA almost before I texted him. But we'll just run it down really quick. So IPSC Open Division, currently at the top of the points, Varric Bizey, with a pair of hundos and a 96. Behind him in second, Mike Whiteside's trailing about 40 points. And then behind him, another 12 points would be Chance Landernaugh. Landernaugh? Chance, did I get it right? I know I asked you specifically. And then in fourth is Rangemaster for this match, Kevin Harrington at 237 points. Scrolling down to Modified. Currently, yours truly is sitting at the top because I am the only one that has 3 scores.
Hey, consistency is king, buddy.
Yeah, dub's a dub. I'm going to say if y'all let me beat you, I'm going to be disappointed. But I'm currently sitting on the top with lackluster scores. But and then coming up behind me, Taylor Olhausen was not at this match, but he's sitting in second place. Houston Russell got the dub at this match and put up a hundo, so he's sitting on 194 points. And then nice. Sam Larkin is sitting in the number 4 spot with his win in Texas and an 89%, which he was pissed about at this match. And then honorable mention Connor Freiberger, because Connor and I were roommates this time around. He caught a ride with me from the airport, so we were pooling. He's sitting in 5th place. And I scrolling past here, people have asked the red names. If you look on the list, you'll see some names in red. That signifies people who have scores in multiple divisions. Matt Martini being a prime example of one of those. In standard, Matt Martini sitting on top with a hundo and a 95.5. Right on his heels is Nate Staskowitz with a 93.6. And not too far behind them, Jeremy Leitner with 185.5 points. And then sitting in 4th is J.K. Khan with 172 points. And then right behind them is Becky Yackley, who was not at this match but is sitting on 2 solid scores from rounds 1 and 2. Manual division, we we have some interesting movement here because there wasn't a whole lot of manual division going on at this match. So Tennille Chedester put a hundo up, so a hundo for the ladies. Sick. And that put her all the way up into second place. So currently, Sam Rydberg is sitting on top with 180 points. Tennille is sitting in second with 144. Right behind her is Katrina Reed, who got an 87 at this match. And then in the fourth spot, my boy, Travis Vogel, who chose to shoot zombies this weekend. So he will probably see us back on the trail when we head to Kansas City. Then we get into the categories. Lots of interest in the coulda, woulda, shoulda, what might happen on these. Again, like we touched on in the last episode, people ask crazy questions like, could I get picked with 2 scores? Yes, it's possible to get struck by lightning. It is not very likely, though. Or there's a lot of questions about threshold scores. Well, what if, especially when we talk about, it's the ladies that ask me, not picking on the ladies, but it's a lot of ladies that ask, what if we don't have threshold scores? What if there are not enough people that have threshold scores and they're hovering around that 60% or below? I don't know. That's kind of a loser's mentality to me, and that's not really what we're looking for. So all I can say is do the best you can. If you're on the bubble, dig a little deeper and let the chips fall where they may. But your best bet is to do the best you can and see where those scores fall. I'm not exactly sure how all this will be decided, and it's also dependent on how many slots we get, which some of the Minnesota crowd had asked me. It is unknown how many slots we get. So IPSC either disorganized or secretive about how many slots there actually will be. So unknown how many slots there will be and how that will translate into how many teams we try to field. But in the ladies categories, open lady, we currently have 9 people throwing their hat in the ring. Amory Reed threw up a threshold score at this match, so she's sitting on a pair of scores that have her at 126 points. Tina Garcia, kind of one of those, she's kind of sitting on that bubble range there in the 50s. She's got 110 points. Allison McGilly, I'm sorry if I butchered that. She's sitting on 103 points. And Lanny Barnes has a solid 76, but she only has 1 score. So she's sitting at 76.3. In modified lady, there was some action around getting ladies involved with modified. It sounded like there were a few people motivating others to get in the fray on this one. And so currently in modified lady, sitting at the top, we have Ursula Williams with a 67 and a 63. So she's sitting at number 1 with 131 points. Lena Miklik was not at the first match and was not at this match, so she's still sitting on her 96 from Texas. Hannah Nichols so far only has a score from last fall. She has a solid 70%. Looks like she was at Zombies as well last weekend from Instagram, so I anticipate seeing her back on the trail in Kansas City. And then we had a newcomer to the series, Heather Miller, or Heather Eckhart, if you will. She came out of hiding and threw up a solid 62 to hold down 4th place. And then right behind her is Cindy Coker. So things heating up in the modified ladies division. And likewise, we have a lot of interest, or we have a solid 8 people throwing their hat in the ring for standard lady. However, we did not have a whole lot of action in standard lady at the South Carolina round. Becky Ackley still sitting at the top of the list with 165 points from rounds 1 and 2. Ashlyn Thomas threw up a solid 67.7 this weekend, which has her in second place with 137 points. Right behind her, or not right behind her, but behind her is Jaylise Williams sitting on a single score from Texas. And then also with single scores from Texas, Hannah Nichols and Cindy Coker behind her. So some action in ladies standard, but not a whole lot of movement in the points, just because a lot of these ladies were at other events this particular weekend.
Or coming home from the World Shoot.
That's also true.
It's tricky when you're coming home from one World Shoot and you got to practice up and train for another World Shoot.
Yeah, right. It's it's tough.
Yep.
It's tough.
It's a hard life.
Open Senior, the final one we have lots of life in. Currently, the man that started what could be a dynasty, Todd Wydell, the Wydell Senior, is leading the points. Buddy. Number one on the list, number one in your hearts, everyone's favorite optometrist. 219 points, a commanding lead of the Open Senior points race. Behind him, Santiago Labos, with a 70 and a 78. He's sitting on 149 points. Third place, Ron Fuchs, 67 and a 74 for a 141. And then a little bit behind them, Mr. Han Hoppy, again, part of Minnesota, we got to come up with a cool name, all right? We don't have a cool name for ourselves. Like, we have the Michigan Mafia, all right? I don't know. I didn't make it up, but it's kind of cool. We need a name. But Han Hoppy is from the Minnesota 3-gun group, and he threw up a 58 that he's probably upset about, and in combination with his 69 from last fall, he's at 127 points. I fully anticipate to see him at a couple others of these going forward. But that is a quick update from the trail to Shotgun World Shoot 2026. This is all openly posted on ipsic-usa.com if you want to go find it for yourself. But those are preliminary results so far. Like I say, they're preliminary. An example of how preliminary they are, just because you checked senior at this match doesn't necessarily mean, or you can't, if you're a senior on the day of the World Shoot match, you get to shoot it as a senior. Some people, Mike Whiteside's being a prime example of one of those, he is not a senior yet. So on the match, even though he won't be scored as a senior on this list, things like that will be happening going forward. So these are just preliminary results. This is just us on this side of the NDA pulling stuff off of practice score and putting it together so everyone can follow along. This is in no way official results, but a little update for everyone on the road to Shotgun World Shoot.
Do you think we put enough asterisks on that people won't get their panties in a bunch if we got something wrong?
Absolutely not, because they contact me all the time, which you are welcome to do, and I will entertain your concerns. But I do not promise not to talk about you on the show.
we may or may not withhold your name to protect the innocent, depending on how innocent you actually are.
We protect the innocent, but I don't know. There's a lot of good detectives out there. They can figure out who you are.
Yeah, we might drop some not so subtle hints. Well, speaking of protecting the innocent, our question for the day, which is probably going to turn into the whole rest of the podcast, I did remove some names from the question to protect the innocent. But right before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to our boy over at Targets USA, because this last weekend on Sunday, so 3 days ago, I taught a rifle class out here in Utah. All day class, 10 people, a full on, like, get to the range at 8:30, leave the range at 6 sort of deal. And we shot the living shit out of some steel. It was a mostly positional rifle class. We did some offhand work at the beginning, but mostly what people wanted to know is how to shoot standing supported, double kneel, reverse kneel, prone, rooftops, weird transitions between stuff, how to shoot spinners, different mags for prone, all the shenanigans, right? So a bunch of shooting medium to small steel at 100 yards. I had, I think, 4 different brands of steel on the range. And my KYL rack from Jason over at Targets USA was the only piece of steel that did not break. Everything else broke. Literally all of it. So hats off to Jason.
Absolutely.
His stuff stays together and all the other stuff.
Hashtag not sponsored, but yeah, Jason does make some good stuff. It's all very uniquely designed and not in a MacGyver way, in a why didn't I think of that way. And he actually came on board, just a plug because he's a good guy. He gave us the good guy price for some steel for multi-gun nationals, and essentially we put together a sizable enough order that he's going to come down and set it up for us. So for those keeping score at home, he lives in Alaska. All right. Yeah. So he is flying down from Alaska to support our match's purchase of his product and to help us set up the match. So there are, I could think of probably 5 steel companies off the top of my head that are very supportive of the shooting sports, not even counting the ones that aren't supportive of the shooting sports. Targets USA, definitely a solid supporter of all the things going on in action shooting right now. And if you're in the market, definitely check out his stuff.
Yeah. And, man, the class was really interesting because we had a pretty wide range of skill set for a positional rifle class. Most experienced person there was probably my buddy Trevor Toon, who has shot 3-gun for a very long time. If you want to see Trevor lift obscenely heavy stuff, his Instagram page is Lift Heavy, Shoot Fast, and he focuses mostly on the lift heavy part. I'm pretty sure that he could throw me 20 yards.
Is he going to the Duskin?
I don't know. He should.
I don't know. It's this weekend.
Yeah. He's Ellie. I don't know how that works for the Duskin. I don't know enough about the Duskin to know how any of that works. But the least experienced person who came to the class literally didn't own a rifle.
Perfect.
A friend of mine that said, "Hey, I saw you're putting on a rifle class. If I buy some ammo, do you have something I can borrow?" And I was like, "I sure do." This is going to be so awesome. So yeah, it was really rad just to see like 10 people of super varying abilities all kind of helping each other out and helping, and it was rad. It made me feel very good about the future of our sport. Now, on to our question. So this is edited for length. Yes, this is the short version of the question.
Yes.
And I edited it down to like have the meat and potatoes, and it's still going to take a minute to read. And I took out a few names to protect the innocent because I didn't want to start a war.
Because they're innocent. That's why.
Because they're innocent. So this is from our boy Bob. Bob is the guy who did the video reaction to our Gary of the Day episode and then finished it up with his own Gary. So Bob is on board, definite friend of the show. And his question, slightly edited for brevity, is this. Let me cleanse the palate here before we start. All right. Can you talk about the jersey trends in different shooting sports and specifically 3-gun? Match jerseys and pistol. It just says pistol USPSA seem to be widely popular here in Area 6, but not in other sports such as 3-gun, PRS, running gun. Is that common in the U.S. since the shotgun series, hopefully the rifle series, and multi-gun nationals are under the USPSA umbrella? What are the thoughts given to adding match jerseys to those as well? As I shoot pistol USPSA, I see a lot of people wearing match jerseys to level 1 events. These are typically people like me who are mid-pack shooters and not sponsored. To contrast, you only see sponsored shooters in 3-gun and PRS wearing jerseys. In fact, when I shot my first major, I showed up early and took a class. Another newer shooter had purchased a Terran Tactical jersey, and the instructor chastised him a bit during the course. I'm not sure if there was bad blood or what, or why this occurred, but it seemed odd. It seemed odd enough that I remember it over 2 years later. There is a 2018 post on in the Facebook group. So to be super clear, this dude is like pretty new to 3-gun, and he's dug so far back that he's reading 2018 posts in Facebook 3-gun groups. This guy is going deep, and I am into it. There's a 2018 post in a Facebook 3-gun group supporting the trend that only sponsored shooters wear jerseys. I think I remember seeing a match jersey when I first started in 2019. These days, all you can opt for is a crappy t-shirt if anything is offered. To be fair, I have no idea how much time or energy it takes to make a match jersey along with everything else it takes that has to get done.
I'm glad you asked.
Yes. If you're trying to grow the other parts of USPSA, jerseys seem like a great way to advertise and put the majority of the cost back on the participant. This may be a topic that flies under the radar because most of the key players in the sports shooting are also sponsored and were at one time and have plenty of jerseys. Although it's silly and trivial, I know I've talked to several people who are always trying to figure out what to wear. I wear golf polos because they're the closest thing I can find to a jersey, and I can wear them to other places as well. Hope to hear your thoughts on the subject. Please keep up the good work. Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah, I would break that into several pieces. So 1, can you talk about jersey trends in different shooting sports and specifically 3-gun? Where I would go to on that, when I first started in the shooting sports, way back when I was first shooting IDPA, the first thing I kind of landed on, similar, we talked about this a couple episodes ago in the Gary of the Day, was wearing loose fitting clothing. All right, so I kind of honed in on finding a shirt that stayed tucked in and didn't bunch, so that it wouldn't interfere with drawing a pistol, drawing magazines, and all that stuff. And the first shirt that I found that I really liked doing that was the cheesy Springfield Armory polo shirt that you could get in that you could order out of buying a new gun from them. But it was also kind of at that time, like, it was kind of the beginning of like the polyester type materials. Like, stuff was baggy and cotton at the time, and so it was kind of more of a slicker fit shirt that was comfortable to wear at a match and also didn't get in the way. So you could kind of say that was a jersey, but I kind of latched onto a piece of clothing that aided performance. Just so happened that it had a logo on it. I've never been affiliated with Springfield Armory ever, really. And I also, however, started progressing into being sponsored after that. And once you're sponsored, wearing the jersey is one of the ways you represent a sponsor. So I don't know, Adam, what was your kind of saga towards
my trend? Left to my own devices, if I was not sponsored, I would wear the same thing that I did before I was sponsored, which is a t-shirt. I am a very t-shirt and jeans, or in the summertime t-shirt and shorts kind of guy. I don't have a job where I dress up, none of that stuff, never have. I would just wear a t-shirt. Once I got sponsored, Vortex was my first sponsor. And no, I take that back. So I was working for a suppressor company before I started shooting for Vortex. And part of my deal there was if I was representing the company, much in the same way a sponsored shooter would, that I could, we would go to matches, and basically the company I was working for would put on a side stage. I would work the side stage at an on-off match half the day, shoot the other half of the day. And the deal was I got to shoot these matches. I got to travel on the company's dime. Had to work the side stage, but they wanted me to wear a jersey with the company logo on it. I'm like, cool. That seems like a super reasonable trade. So that's what I did. I did that for a season. Then I started shooting for Vortex and JP the season after that. And from that point on, which was 2017, I have had a jersey with my name on it and logos from various companies. Go ahead.
So I kind of progressed in a similar way. My first jersey, I actually think I still have it. It was a cheap poly material, like performance t-shirt. It's a t-shirt literally. And it was a group of us from small town Minnesota that were as a group traveling to the local Minnesota matches. So, picture bowling league type stuff. All right. So we were a group of people going to, it was kind of a clique thing, not in a Mean Girls kind of way. It was just kind of we wanted to be a team. And it evolved from there. My next set of jerseys really came from, that was about the time that I started picking up speed. I got picked up by Hyperfire, and so they provided a jersey. I could put other logos on it, and that was also about the time that I was on the 3 Gun Nation Pro Series, and so there was some talks and negotiations around which logos would get to be placed where, because I was going to be on TV. And then shortly after that, I got picked up by Vortex. So as I started picking up sponsors and having visibility, that is a way to brand yourself as you participate in the sport. And then as I transitioned to Vortex, this is a little bit different than a lot of people's journey. But now I'm not a hobbyist representing sponsors. I work for the company. Like the only people who actually wear Vortex jerseys, like the ones you see myself, sometimes Travis, which we'll get to, and Ruben and Tucker, those are people who actually have jobs at the office, where we're Vortex employees. And when you're representing a company like that, sometimes we had options to display other logos, but really we're there representing number one. So it's also to identify us as representatives of that company. So it has to be unquestionably like we are the Vortex people. It has our name on it so that you can come up to us and talk to us, hey Adam, and explain to me why, your product isn't working, or you're trying to get at this, or you have a question about that. It's to identify us as representatives of that company, literally. Now, along the way in this era that I'm talking about is between 2014, 2015, and 2019. In Minnesota and the greater kind of area there, it became very trendy to wear a jersey even if you weren't sponsored. Like, it was kind of like you weren't cool if you didn't have a jersey, so people felt pressured to wear jerseys and to have sponsors and to have logos on them because it was the kind of the way, it was the style of the time. So I kind of saw it evolve out of sponsored shooters were wearing jerseys, and the people who wanted to be like sponsored shooters wanted to also emulate them, so they bought their own jerseys and they asked for permission, or maybe they didn't, to put logos on them. And it almost got to the point where like people were jerseyed up on a Wednesday night to shoot a league. And so it almost kind of, in some of our opinions in the upper Midwest, kind of poisoned the well on jersey things. And people kind of started tetrating out of wearing jerseys. My friend Travis being one of them. If you ask him, he doesn't like to wear a jersey at a match. He would rather just kind of be a dude. But the contrast there is Travis and I both represent the same company. Travis actually does the event sponsorship for the matches that you're talking about. If an event is sponsored by Vortex Optics, that is a decision that Travis made in conjunction with other people, but he pulls the trigger on it. And a lot of times at the prize table, they'll say, oh, hey, and the guys from Vortex, and they name both of us, but I'm the one standing there in a jersey. Travis looks like everybody else. People will come up to me and they'll thank me for sponsoring the match. And I'm like, no, I didn't do that. It's this guy. But because he doesn't have a jersey on, people don't know who he is, unless you do. And so somewhat jerseys are a way for us it's really on the Vortex side, it's for customers to know who we are so that customers can approach us. I would say that's really the reason that we still wear jerseys, and that I wear jerseys today. Because otherwise, I probably, if I wasn't if I wasn't representing a specific company in the industry, I'd probably be like Riser 2, and I would just wear an Under Armour shirt or something like that. But it's to set us apart so that customers, that's what's important to Vortex, is that customers can pick us out and see who we are and approach us if they have an issue or they want to talk to us about products. So
yeah, so the way that I think about it, and honestly, I haven't ever really like thought about this super deeply until like literally right now. But if I had to put like a description to it, like when I'm wearing a jersey, what I think it represents, to me, it basically means like, hey, for some reason, I have partnered with these companies whose logos are on my jersey. To be fair, I won't get super deep into like sponsorship and all that other stuff, but in every single case, every single logo that's on my jersey, that was a company that I was already shooting their stuff, already had faith in, already was going to buy something from. Like at no point have I ever taken a sponsorship to get stuff. It is like, hey, I'm going to shoot this anyways, and this company has decided that they, want to work with me and that I can do a good job representing them, and they find some value in it. So if there is a logo on my jersey, it is there for a reason, and it means that I have a lot of faith in that stuff. I shoot stuff from other companies whose logos aren't on my jersey, and who have offered me sponsorships, and I turn them down for one reason or another. There's, all the stars have to align is what I'm saying. Like anybody who's on there is on there for a reason. What I think it means to me, hopefully the way that people see it is, you can walk up to me and ask me a question about any of those companies, and I will give you my honest opinion. And my opinion is probably going to be pretty darn good if their logo is on my jersey. Now, the reason I don't want to get like crazily into the sponsorship side, but
I don't either.
Yeah, it's like I said, if I was just a recreational shooter and I wasn't representing any companies, I would for sure just be wearing a t-shirt. I kind of don't like that my name's on there. I kind of don't like that I am representing companies. You have to really kind of watch your P's and Q's. There's some things that you just can't do. Absolutely. When you're a walking billboard.
Absolutely.
So it does change things for sure. I did a whole podcast about my worst season ever on Dave's show. And it was my first season as a sponsored shooter. And I did tragically worse than the season before it because I felt all of the pressure of these companies that I was representing. Now, on the completely opposite side of things, Maxwell's been around long enough to remember the Miller High Life shooting team.
Yeah.
You remember those boys? Yeah.
Yep.
So
they were just a group.
Now, there was a group of people that shot 3-gun primarily in the West. They were always at all of the Parma matches and a bunch of other stuff out in there. I think they shot in Raton quite a bit as well. The Oregon matches. They all had giant Miller High Life jerseys, all matching jerseys with their names on them. They were not sponsored by Miller. They just had Miller High Life jerseys, and they drank a lot of Miller. And then one day, I don't know exactly how it happened, but sort of the story that I heard from them was like, hey, somebody was joking around like, you guys should go to Miller and see if they'll hook you up. And they were like, shit, that's a pretty good idea. We should go do that. And so they all piled in somebody's 3/4 ton truck and drove out to Miller, wherever it was at, and walked in the front door wearing their matching jerseys. And they're like, hey, we're the Miller High Life shooting team. We have been for years. It occurred to us that maybe we should come see you guys about an actual sponsorship. And Miller's reply was like, hey, so we're not the guys here. There's like a corporate office, some stuff like that. And I don't think they'd sponsor you because of shooting sports and blah, blah, blah. But you guys have a pretty big ass truck there, and we have a forklift and pallets of beer. How about we just start loading beer into your truck until the axles are touching the bed?
Oh,
we're like,
yes.
That's a great idea. And so they said, yep, if you guys run out, just come on back and we'll fill you up again. And so they eventually just ended up with a non-official Miller High Life sponsorship as a result of this.
We almost,
which is so awesome.
We almost had a Red Bull sponsorship when I was still running matches in Minnesota. I should ask Mark again how we got the meeting with that guy, but we got a sit-down meeting with like our area rep for Red Bull, and it was kind of the same thing. He was like, I think it's really cool, you know, but here's the thing, Austria won't touch you. So like, he's like, look at me. I don't even have any Red Bull logos on me, and I'm the rep. So he's like, it doesn't work that way, but he's like, I really appreciate your interest and what you're doing and whatnot. So he gave us a full pallet of Red Bull for the summer and one of those like can cooler things.
Hell yeah.
So we had Red Bull that year. So yeah, stuff like that. Or you remember Shiloh Mattoon? He's still around. Dude, he's actually on the Shotgun series.
Is he serious? Oh, that's awesome. Is he still rocking the pants?
He is not, but I did ask him about those. He still kind of chuckles a little bit.
Every square inch of that man had been sold.
Yeah. What were they? What was it? Browning?
Logos.
I think he had Browning. He wore like black pants, and he had logos on him. And I think it was Browning that he had the most. Well,
he had logos down both sides, like lengthwise,
yep.
And then there were logos on the butt. There were logos on the calves. Like the jersey was just covered. Yeah, dude, Shiloh cracked me up, man.
And the weird thing about it in this era was, we would get at Vortex, requests from people. They essentially would say, the template was, hey, I'm looking to get into 3-gun. I really want to shoot my first match here pretty soon, but I was wondering if you would sponsor me. Like, there was a perception for a time that people, like, you had to have a sponsor to shoot. Like, you know, they saw everybody with the jerseys and they kind of saw it as a barrier of entry. And so that's when a lot of us started kind of getting bummed out on jerseys, because there was a time I was jerseyed up even on a Tuesday night. Whereas now, if I don't just roll up in my call center clothes, like I'm just wearing street clothes with my local boys. I'm not jerseyed up every single time a shot clock is around. Whereas, you know, I'm still jerseyed up at matches that I perceive to be important or, you know, that I'm representing. But there was that time where like people really thought like you had to be jerseyed and you had to represent a company to even play. And that got kind of sad. And so we've kind of, in the upper Midwest, we've kind of seen the pendulum swing the other way. And like, yeah, people who are representing businesses, and usually it's their own, like a Joe Farewell would be a good example. All right. Joe Farewell's predominant sponsor on his jersey is his company, right? Dry Fire Crew. So like if I see a jersey around outside of nationals or, you know, the big matches that we talk about here on the show, it's usually somebody representing either their thing or like their friend's thing. It's not like, you know, Team Glock doesn't show up at Winnequa Gun Club in Lodi, Wisconsin. They don't.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I actually changed it up, this year. In fact, I used to never jersey up for a local, and I pretty recently started doing it for the first time ever, for two reasons. One, our last local match had 184 people at it, which is kind of wild. Like, it's pretty wild that there's 184 people at a local match, and a lot of people do who are sponsored shooters. A lot of people will jersey up, but that's not actually the reason why. The reason why is I'm doing all of those technique videos, the match lesson videos on my YouTube channel, and it just makes things look a little bit cleaner if I'm always wearing the same shirt. It makes editing a little bit easier. So that's literally the only reason that I jersey up at locals, because I do the match lesson videos and I'm always wearing the same thing. So that's basically it. Yep. If it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't do it. And honestly, I mean, I don't know this for sure, but there's a pretty good chance that if I wasn't a sponsored shooter, I wouldn't do the match lesson videos. I probably wouldn't do this podcast. I probably wouldn't do a lot of things. I probably wouldn't have a YouTube channel with any shooty stuff. Like, all of that I am doing all of this stuff to give back to the people who support me in the shooting sports.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Riser said the same thing essentially, but I'm 100% doing this to pay it forward for opportunities I've gotten in the shooting sports and continue to get. It's absolutely paying down on a debt that I don't know that I'll ever be able to repay for what the sport has given to me. And so I'm hoping to share that with other people, and that maybe they get a fraction of the special that the sport's been for me. But yeah, if I wasn't, like, honestly, if I wasn't in sales in the industry for a manufacturer, I think I would have deleted Instagram in 2021. Like, I would be off all of it if I wasn't professionally immersed in the space.
Yeah, for sure.
As they say in the biz.
Yeah, definitely. So that, like there's a lot of pluses and minuses to it. But so a couple specific things in here. So you're talking about like rocking a jersey if you're not associated with those companies. Man, I just don't see the point personally. Like I don't know why you would. I
don't know.
Like,
I guess I do. I would buy a Monster hat if I could. Like, I would wear a Monster hat, even though I'm not sponsored by them. When I had dirt bikes when I was first riding dirt bikes in high school, when I got a graphics kit at the time, it was in vogue to get essentially factory replica graphics kits for your bikes. So I had a Monster Claw on my bike. And I was not anywhere near good or anywhere near sponsored. It was just kind of that vibe. So I can relate with the person who wants to wear a logo of the thing that they think is cool, especially again, Vortex, like Vortex is about the Vortex Nation. That's a big part of our brand. People like to wear the stuff because they like to feel like they're a part of the community of Vortex. And so, I mean, nobody ever approached me before when I was just going about in travels. But like when I'm wearing my Vortex stuff now, when I'm business traveling on my way to something, people will come up to me and they'll straight up ask me about Vortex stuff in an airport, right? Like
that's pretty awesome, actually.
Any dude can wear a Vortex hat in an airport, which is all I have on. Like I have a match T-shirt on or a hoodie and a Vortex hat. They pick me out as oh hey, I love Vortex. You like Vortex too? It's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do.
So like I can relate with that. I mean, and before Vortex, it was Noveski. Like I really liked the Noveski shooting team back in the day. I had Noveski stuff. I'm never sponsored by Noveski. But it just seemed like a cool thing to be a part of. Before that, I mean, I was in the agriculture industry. Everything's John Deere or Case, depending on which side of the fence you're on.
Yep.
So like
do you feel like there's a difference though between like I feel like there's a difference between a Vortex shirt and a Vortex jersey.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a big difference. Yeah. But I guess where I latched on there was like I can identify with wanting to associate with a brand. Like it's engineered to kind of make you want to be a part of that. Going to a jersey is another level. That's essentially a custom shirt that you're having made and you're electing to put branding on it. Whether that's branding that you're contractually obligated to display or you're just trying to endorse like, hey man, I just love BCM and I want to wear their logo. And so, so I can relate with that. And same thing, like, I think he got into like buying other jerseys, like replica jerseys. I feel like that just kind of comes from that sort of desire to want to fit in. Like you see, like, oh yeah, I like whatever team. Like at the time it was Noveski shooting teams. Like I think the vibe that Noveski shooting team is putting out was cool. I would like to be associated with a slim piece of that. And so I think it's very unfortunate, especially because I know the people he named in here. I think it's very unfortunate that those people gave him grief for that, just because of the brand that he decided he wanted to to associate with, and those people had their own stuff going on. But yeah, I can relate with that for sure.
Word. Match jerseys. So a big part of this is sort of like almost advertising for, like, is basically like, I think a lot of people think the match jersey is an upgrade from the match shirt, right? It's like the match shirt is like,
agree.
Oh, you got a shirt, good job. The match jersey is a little bit nicer. I don't know. Again, I'm just like a t-shirt dude, except for match shirts actually. So, I always like, I'm a pretty like clean look kind of guy. Like, let's get real. Almost every shirt I own is from Vortex. And they're all like the very clean ones. Like this one here is like a little square around a V with a couple stars. Matte shirts, just because there's like 30 logos down the back. I don't think I've ever worn a matte shirt in my entire life. They've all become rags in my gun room.
Oh, I wear mine all the time. It drives Taylor nuts.
And in match jerseys, I'm kind of the same. And part of it is, because I have an actual jersey, which I'm in some cases contractually obligated to wear. So I'm not going to wear the match jersey from a different match, and I don't have any other place in my life where I would wear the match jersey. So the match jerseys just kind of get stuffed in a box that will probably just sit around until I decide to throw it away. I have seen some match jerseys that are like pretty cool. Like the last PCSL Two Gun Nationals match jersey.
Yeah,
those are pretty dope. Like I wore those, because we were staff and we got staff jerseys, and you had to wear them during the staff match to identify yourself as such. Those are like pretty dope looking jerseys. Like I would maybe consider wearing that jersey at like a different match or something if I wasn't wearing a jersey for other stuff. But I've never been that guy. I've never been like the buy the band t-shirt kind of dude. So I'm kind of not the right guy to ask a lot of these questions to, because I'm just like not this dude.
The match jersey thing definitely struck me as odd. The first ones I got were from Area 2. And if I'm straight up, somebody worked really hard on those. I don't like them. I don't even really like to wear them. I'm too much of a pack rat to throw them away or donate them yet, which also drives Taylor nuts. But so they're around.
I'm siding with Taylor on this one,
and it's fair. It's a fair point. So I don't like those. I do like because USPSA is partnered with Zero Sports to make the match jerseys for all of the nationals. And so they designed a Carry Optics Nationals jersey and a Factory Gun Nationals jersey and a Multi-Gun Nationals jersey. And, I got a Multi-Gun Nationals jersey, and they added the touch. It says match director on it, which, that gets me in the feels a little bit. So it kind of struck me as weird at first, but kind of where I came down on it is like Riser, we go to so many matches, not complaining, but we go to so many matches, we got a ton of match t-shirts. Like I have so many t-shirts to the point where I really don't, unless it's a cool shirt, which usually match t-shirts are covered in so many logos that are random that they're not cool. But like I held on to my Iron Man shirts because like they were just.
I do have my old long sleeve Iron Man shirts.
I have my Minnesota 3-gun shirts. Like
yeah, I do wear the old Iron Man shirts. I always wear them if it's winter time and I'm loading ammo in the basement. I'll put on the Iron Man shirt and go down and load some ammo.
Yeah. The ones I don't like actually become my workout shirts. Those are the ones I destroy. But like, so it got to a point where I was getting a ton of shirts between being in the industry, getting tons of swag that way, and then getting a match shirt everywhere you go. It just became a lot of shirts. To the same thing, like when people want to give me a hat now, okay, it's like I feel bad because they're being nice, and I'm like, dude, I thank you, but I really don't need any more hats. Is kind of where I'm at.
I just gave away my last random swag Vortex hat at the class. I take all the swag that I pull off of stuff because I like unstructured hats because I have a head that doesn't pull off a flat bill at all. And I trash my hats. Like they're just destroyed all the time. So I only rock unstructured hats. So I have a fleet of like 6-year-old Vortex hats. When I found the ones that liked, I just had Ruben send me like 20 of them. And they're all in equal states of disrepair at this point. But so whenever I get new Vortex hats, I just put them into a swag box that I just give out at classes. And I finally am down to 0 hats for the first time in like years.
For now.
It's awesome. Very, very liberating.
I'm going to send you like 100 tomorrow just to... but so that's kind of my mentality that's my mindset. All right. Now we inherit Multi-Gun Nationals, and one of the things really hot and heavy at the time was fiscal responsibility in the organization, and they spend too much money on nationals. Why are we doing nationals? Because they cost so much money. So we had a low budget, and we were trying to be as efficient as possible. And one of the first things I yanked was, you know what? Nobody cares about match t-shirts. Like, we don't need to do shirts. Like, we're going to get some staff shirts so people understand who the staff are, but that's it. Number one feedback I got from that year,
one with a bullet.
People wanted a shirt. They wanted a shirt. And, so it's kind of like, okay, and it's kind of the disconnect between the top 20% at the match, like on the scores. The way people who are in the top 20% perceive things and the way the rest of the field perceives things are different. I had lost perspective on, you know what? There are people out there, they really wanted a t-shirt. They just wanted a t-shirt. And I was like, okay, I hear you. And so the next year, USPSA started doing the match jersey thing. And so our idea was, you know what? We're going to take the budget. Well, we're going to solicit the jerseys to people. We'll be like, hey, if you want a jersey, here it is, and blah, blah, blah. And we essentially negotiated a discounted price with the jersey company. Essentially, we are supplementing your payment, your purchase of the jersey with what we would have spent on making t-shirts. So instead of ordering a whole batch of custom t-shirts and having all the sizes and all the extra sizes and I got the wrong size and all that stuff, essentially, if you want one, we would pay for what we agreed to put on a price, but we paid essentially the cost of a t-shirt towards your jersey, and that's passed to you as a discount. And then the people who want one, they get a really nice one. They get the sweet jersey, and the people who don't care, they don't care. So we're not buying shirts for those people who don't care, and then creating all the hassle that goes along with it. Which reminds me, I gotta get those people the sizes so they can have that ready. But that's the reason that we do that stuff is because. Yeah, it seemed like a good compromise because, like, there are a ton of people who just don't care about the shirt, and it's like, well, why did we beat ourselves up trying to design this shirt? Somebody had to design it. We had to submit the proofs. We had to pick the colors. We had to figure out all the sizes and all that stuff. You always end up with a bunch of extra ones, which is really how I have a bunch of t-shirts. And so it's like, okay, instead, we'll supplement you purchasing a match jersey if you want to, and then the people who want one, they get the sweet match jersey, and the people that don't, we're just moving on, and we're kind of passing the buck on a lot of logistical hassles so that we can spend our bandwidth on other stuff. So I think the match jersey thing is actually kind of cool for the people who want it, and we're kind of at Multi-Gun Nationals, we're using it in that way. I
think that's about the best way to go about it because it's otherwise, that's one of the things that's always kind of bothered me about the match shirts. Not that I'm like really bothered about it, but I'm just like, I would have rather that like the club that put this on just kept the $20 and like, pooled it with 3 other shirts and bought a new piece of steel or something. Like,
right.
I don't want that money to go to waste for something that I'm just going to like cut up and turn into a rag for the gear room. So I think the idea of like, hey, if you want something nice, we'll get you something nice. If you don't want something, you don't get anything. And by the way, like nice jerseys are expensive. Like granted, the ones that I order, they're all like So I got my jerseys from, what was it? So I used to get Techwear, but Techwear is not really a thing anymore. I got mine from Go Fast Don't Suck. By the way, also, like everything in this world, don't cheap out on jerseys because some of the jerseys that we had when I taught for the Tactical Performance Center were like a very clammy material that if you're teaching in St. George and it's 100 degrees outside, you basically felt like you were wearing a plastic bag the entire time, and that sucked. So the good ones from Go Fast Don't Suck are like the lightest material you can get. They are quite nice. They're also $100 a piece. So jerseys ain't cheap. So if you want to go down that route, just understand that you're taking $100 out of something else that you're doing.
I think the current batch of jerseys that I have, I think they're at least 5 years old, if not older. And I have they're essentially a set of 3. And I have 2 sets of them. So I have 6 of them, but just those 6 shirts in rotation, now they're almost to the point that they don't look as professional anymore, just because being around guns and doing match stuff, and they get stained and all that stuff. So I just got a fresh set this year that they made for the internal team. I would not expect to see a fresh jersey again for several years, because they are a very expensive shirt to make.
So I've been thinking back to some of my favorite jerseys. It just some of my favorite kit overall. So I think maybe like the one that pops. I think maybe the opposite of Shiloh in many ways was John McClane. Is John still rocking the golf pants?
I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much in it to win it with the golf pants. But so John McClane,
he has a very personal reason for doing that too. I didn't really get the clear story on what it was, but it was like a sad story as to why he does it.
Oh, I didn't hear the sad story. I just heard that he felt like it sort of took the seriousness out of it and like calmed him down, but I didn't hear any sad story.
And John, I'm sorry if I got this wrong, but I thought it was tied to, or maybe that's why it started, and then the person that was doing them for him like passed away or something like that, and so he kind of like continued on. I might totally be speaking out of class on that, but I thought one time, because I kind of asked him about it and he kind of deflected, and I wasn't sure if it's because he doesn't like me, which is entirely possible, or he didn't want to talk about it.
You're kind of a dick, so.
It seemed more like he didn't want to talk about it, and I never pried again. But I always kind of wondered. It's similar to like my turtle that I wear on my belt. I made a YouTube video about it if you want to go find it, but it's not something I really like to talk about.
It did choke me up, and I did think about that when I was transporting a turtle across the road in South Carolina.
Yeah, so
I came around the corner and there was the turtle, and I was like, we're gonna go get this turtle out of the road.
So I put it in that category of something that like I got the vibe that it was something he was doing as a memorial or a symbol to something else, and it touched the feels somewhere that on that day he didn't want to talk about it. And so I never got the whole story, and hopefully someday I will. But I put it in that category. But yeah, like he definitely had the flamboyant pants. When you talk about the Williams sisters pre-Colt days.
Yep.
They had
the blue and green.
Yep.
Yep. The way that you would tell them apart when they were younger and they looked like twins is Jalise Williams was in all blue, Justine Williams was in all green, and it was Justine in green, and that's how you knew who was who. And I'll be super honest, it was really handy.
Yeah,
because they did look super alike back in the day.
The trademark one for me is Jerry Michalak's blue Smith & Wesson hat.
Dude,
that he wore until very recently.
That thing, the big old foam hat, and that actually hit me just right because my dad, speaking of getting the feels, so my dad, who died when I was 17, he owned a steel fab shop when I was growing up called Richardson Metalworks, bought by somebody named Richardson, which is why it wasn't Riser Metalworks. He didn't want to change it, but It was a big old Richardson Metalworks hat with a little welder torch logo on it, and it was like exactly the same blue and exactly the same shape, exactly the same kind of foam truck hat of the OG Smith & Wesson shooting team hat. And so every time I see that, I get like just a little bit nostalgic. I got that hat hanging up in my basement over the reloading bench. If you watch my videos enough, I'm sure you can see it in the corner. A couple of my favorites for people who are like rocking the jerseys that was like super clear, they weren't doing it to be the sponsored shooter. I definitely after Talladega Nights came out, saw several people rocking the big old Cougar me jersey, and that's very on point. And, I saw quite a few of those. They're pretty solid. And then I think kind of in that same vein, I saw somebody that had a big old jersey, and on the back in super girly with hearts around it and sparkles and all kinds of shit. Some like 6'4" tatted up dude had a jersey on it that just said wife. I was like, yes, dude.
That reminds me, in snowmobile races in Minnesota, the pro snowmobile races, they would list off the top 3 sponsors for anybody. So like in the sport class or the semi-pro class, and every once in a while they'd be like, CNA Pro Skis and Stud Boy this and Arctic Cat that, and they would drop in and here comes Steve Johnson, number 339, sponsored by Mom and Dad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, checks out. I've definitely seen quite a few junior shooters with Mom and Dad on their jersey.
I think Dakota Overland had a Mom and Dad on there, at least at one point.
Yeah, she had a Mom and Dad. Who else? She shoots for Glock now. What? I'm blanking on her
Ashley
name.
Rourke at the time. It's different now. I think it's Robinson.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of somebody younger than her.
Oh, Tori Nanaka?
What? Nope. Gosh darn it. I'm totally blanking. Anyways, you know who you are.
Hey, girl.
After after I did my I did a show with Dave, and it was right after Dave had stopped doing walkout music for people on the show, because he was like, oh, this is kind of starting to become a real thing, and I don't want to get like sued by some record label. So I told Dave that he's not doing the show anymore, or doing the walkout music anymore, but if he was, my song would be Rump Shaker by Rex and Effect. And then right after this then junior shooter, whose name is just escaping me right now, she tagged me in an Instagram post where she had a t-shirt made up that says, all I want to do is zoom a zoom 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 and a boom boom. And I was like, oh man, she's too young to listen to that song. And I felt so bad because she was like 12 at the time. I was like, oh, I got to be careful what I say on here. But, oh man. Anyways, so I think we covered all the points here. I mean, I'm pretty indifferent. Like, you do you, boo. Like,
I mean,
whatever you're psyched on, just go with it, man.
I mean, we're in a post Gary V world, so like everybody's out for their own personal brand now. It's definitely a way to do that. It's not the only way, and I don't think you have to. But I also think, well, I guess we didn't talk about this. It wasn't in the question, but there's a certain element of a jersey kind of puts a target on your back for some people.
Yep. Oh,
especially
yeah.
ROs.
Oh yeah. You will at some point be treated quite poorly by an RO who does not know you and has no idea who you are, just because you're wearing a jersey.
I mean,
it will happen.
I think I said this straight to Horner's face. He was talking to me about something that he was frustrated with, and I'm like, Dan, like, you know the deal. There's only 2 kinds of ROs in the world: the ones that are scared of you and the ones that want to stick it to you. I mean, like, they either don't want to ruin your match, or they want to be the one that gave Daniel Horner a mic. Like he called for the double and I didn't give it to him. And guys like that. I remember very specifically with Dan, but I mean, lots of those guys, I mean, like when, they kind of snicker, oh, here comes the super squad, blah, blah, blah. And so it's not all lollipops and gumdrops, because there's also kind of that expectation, and sometimes a little bit of a stigma. I mean, you kind of get the diva label kind of floats in your direction, whether you are one or not.
I've gotten that several times from ROs at matches that, like I've on many occasions rolled up and the dude's doing the stage brief and the RO turns and looks right at me and, says something about like, and everybody has to tape even if you're some sponsored shooter. So and I'm just like, dude, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
Like what the, like, I'm like, I might be a semi-pro 3-gun shooter, but I'm a professional resetter. Yeah. Like I reset hard, man. Like I will be the hardest resetting person on this squad. Come on.
In my head, I want to be like, what's your name? Because I want to go and take something off the staff prize table and let them know why.
Yeah. Like, no kidding, man. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, people will treat you different, sometimes better, sometimes worse. I one time got asked for an autograph at a major match up in Wyoming. Dude brought over a target. He wasn't shooting the match. He was just like some guy who like came out to like see this big shooting competition. And he's like, "Oh man, will you sign my target?" And I was like, "That's super weird. I've never had anybody ask me for anything like that before." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I guess, dude. You got a Sharpie or something?" He's like, "Yeah, here you go." And he handed me the target, and the only other name on it was Jerry's. And I was like, I kind of don't want to ruin your thing, man. And he's like, no, go for it. I'm like, all right. I feel like I'm about to devalue this, but that's cool. Yeah. I got nothing else. It's all personal preference. Like I said, I love what I get to do in this sport. If having to wear a jersey happens as a result of all the things that this sport has done for me, and these companies have done for me, that's a pretty damn small price to pay. But if I wasn't sponsored by anybody, I would just wear a t-shirt.
Yeah, and
100%.
And the jersey itself is really just one small part of that. Like it really, from a sponsorship level, it really only matters like if you're visible.
1%.
Yeah, it really only matters if you're visible. I would say 90% of the reason people are wearing them is so that customers can know who you are to come up to you. Like it's to identify you to people it's so that you can be approached. If you don't want to be approached, you absolutely should not wear a jersey.
Definitely not.
But realistically, like I say, if you're not trying to promote brands or you're not affiliated with brands, I mean, actually now that I thought about it for a second, what do they call them? The jiu-jitsu things, the rash guards or whatever. I mean, I would be more looking towards equipment, and I would look at it as a piece of equipment. Like, how does this affect my range of motion? Does it bunch up? Does my stock stick to it? Does it shed moisture and all that stuff? Far more interested in all that stuff than like actually what it looks like or the logos on it. I think, you know what my favorite one in recent memory was? Dylan easily got some done that were like a plaid flannel shirt.
That's kind of solid.
That was pretty solid.
Hell yeah.
And he's a chiropractor, so he puts Dr. Dylan Easley on there, which is just a little more like chef's kiss.
Just rocking the Canadian body armor.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite ones in recent memory.
That's solid.
He's sponsored, but he's still just independent enough that he does what he wants.
Solid. Well, cool. I think we've covered this topic in just about as much length as the question itself. And Bob, I'm glad you're out there, man. I'm glad there's people who get so far into this sport in such a short amount of time that they're reading 2018 3-Gun Group Facebook posts to see what was going on back in the day. That warms my heart. Makes me nostalgic.
And he took the time to write us an email, which we probably need to get better about plugging that. He wrote us an email at ontheperfpodcast@gmail.com. And
Indeed.
When we went there, I went there to pull this up while we were talking about it. I see there's a couple others in the hopper in there that we're gonna have to open up and see if maybe we got some future show material. In addition to it's shooting season, we're out there doing the deal. So we're gonna have more matches to talk about real soon.
Yep, I'm shooting NRL Hunter this weekend with my buddy Rick. We're going to take all the lessons learned from last match and try to break the top 25%. And then I'm going up to one of my favorite ranges on earth, Parma, Idaho, to shoot the High Desert Championship the weekend after that.
I'm so jealous of you.
A lot of shooting in the very near future.
Yeah,
so good.
I'm out of town this week, but I am coming in hot to RM the Wisconsin State section match, USPSA. And then right behind that is going to be round 4 of the IPSC Shotgun Qualifier in Kansas City. If you're not signed up for that, go over there. And then not too far behind that, of course, we're going to plug Multi-Gun Nationals. If you're not signed up for that, head over there, get signed up in the middle of July. And also the gosh darn Jeff Kirkwald Memorial Shotgun Match, which is round 5 of the Qualifier Series. That registration is open as well. For the 3rd weekend in August. So go ahead and get signed up for that if you are interested in getting in on some of this shotgun shenanigans.
Indeed. Well, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we have for you. It's getting late and I need to go to bed. And it's even later for Mr. Maxwell because he's a time zone away. So
we do it for you people.
Keep those overlays handy. This is On the Perf. And we'll see you next time.
Dude, that's totally a double.